Tag TV and Tag Radio. Be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. So you wake up tomorrow morning, and suddenly you're the IT go-to guy for 1,900 stores, serving moderate-income customers in over 55 million households across North America. You offer affordable payment plans, quality merchandise, and superior service. Your retail operations do business under nearly a half dozen different names. Oh, and you operate 16 fulfillment centers and 11 manufacturing plants. The culture? Pure entrepreneurial. The chairman of the now New York Stock Exchange publicly traded company is still very much involved and, well, remembers how back in the day was the mid-50s, he and a partner borrowed $500 to purchase 300 chairs and rented each of them out for 10 cents per day to auction houses. Greetings, everyone. It's Friday, February 24th, 2012, and this is a special TAG Premier Member Focus Showcase edition of Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. So, long story short, today, Aaron's Inc., the nation's leader in sales and leasing ownership, specializing in residential and office furniture, consumer electronics, home appliances, and accessories. Nearly 1,500 company stores, over 650 franchise stores, revenues of, well, somewhere near a couple of $1 billion, and in one recent year, the stores attracted over 1.5 million customers. Your job? Chief Information Officer and Vice President. The Tech Talk Premier Showcase, Aaron's Inc. The focus, IT, as Tino speaks with John Trainor, CIO and VP, the man with the job. Just how do you manage technology across a massively distributed network of stores all over the country? And oh yes, that culture thing. When it's a third of your stores you are managing are franchisee. Not your typically thought of IT company, we go inside Aaron's to discover how technology has been woven into the business and contributed to the growth of the company. The Tech Talk Premier Member Showcase Edition visits Aaron's Inc. and meets with his Chief Information Officer and Vice President, John T. Trainor. John, welcome to Tech Talk.
Thanks for having me. This is a great opportunity.
Well, I think a large portion, if not everybody in our audience, knows Aaron's and typically the business sector that you're in, but I don't think they typically think of you as an IT company. 1,900 stores. You're supporting a massively distributed network of stores all over the country. Let's talk a little bit about where you've been, where are you now, where are you going, and how you're going to get there. How has IT been woven into the business?
Sure. I started about 12 years ago at Aaron's, and we didn't have a good bit of technology supporting our stores. We had some executives who really supported technology, but the company had grown so much in the few years before I got here that we were at 450 stores at the time, and we had tons of growth, just absolutely incredible growth, and it was hard to keep pace with that growth. And so when we got here, a few of us had come in to try to fix some things that were broken back then, and we found that we really were behind. We didn't know as much about our transaction as we'd like to know, and so we spent a number of years just building some of the core infrastructure to support the enterprise, things like connectivity and just good uptime for our systems. We did that, and what happened from it is the executives that always believed saw some results in that belief and decided to really put a greater emphasis on executing on technology.
Were you was an infrastructure in place in all the geographic areas that you were trying to connect?
A very weak infrastructure. We had some of the worst case scenarios you'd ever want. This was back in '99. We had a dial-up to get our data, so there were 450 stores. If you wanted to find out how you did yesterday, you had to dial into all of them, aggregate the data. We had very limited database servers and run reports, and so the day would be over, and you'd get your daily report on how you did the day before, and it just the information wasn't, there was too much friction to know how the business was doing. And we were at a pivotal point where our franchisees were growing and they were dissatisfied with our systems, and the company wanted to grow, and our COO didn't have the reporting he needed to make things happen in the field, and we would close our books slower than we wanted to. Never really missed a deadline, but it was painful getting there. And
well, I've heard the term perfect storm used both positive and negative. You know, when they say everything just came together, it was a perfect storm, this is sort of, I guess, one of those moments in time when you could go either way in terms of it being just the perfect time to begin to really start taking a serious look at technology and IT and where to go with it and how to improve it. Probably one of the issues I'd also bring up, not only from the infrastructure standpoint and the technology capabilities of what we I think we come to accept things so quickly that we automatically think clouds have always been there. But one of the things you hear a lot about is the disruptive technologies having to combine with an existing culture. And you use the word franchisees. As I understand it, you got about a third of your stores that are that are being managed or owned by franchisees. Do they see the cost as something valuable for IT, and how do you build support from them?
Yeah, I think they do. The way we built support with our franchise community started back then, and we really hit rock bottom with technology and supporting the franchisees. And it was through a lot of hard work that we were able to turn it around. And you cannot underestimate how important it is to have a bad situation, commit to solving that situation and making it better. You can't underestimate how important that goes to your credibility. I still have great relationships with franchisees that have been around a number of years, and they remember back when it was really bad. And
well, I heard that still have, as in at some point they were at risk, and you were able to salvage it, because I guess it's all about trust. After a while, it gets to the point where you got to promise what you can deliver and deliver what you promise.
That's right. And the meetings initially weren't fun, and there was a problem we were solving that we didn't create, and you know, rotten tomatoes getting thrown at you, but
and computers and technology are always perfect.
Right, exactly. Nothing can go wrong with them, and so, but it couldn't have happened a better way. I think when I look back, it gave me the opportunity to go out and resolve real business problems in our stores, and it's why I and a lot of the folks on my team know how our stores really operate as well as we do.
Well, and I think that says a lot, because no matter how many times you think you can work with outside vendors, and as much as they want to do requirements analysis and situation analysis, you didn't have to combat too much with the culture, because you were the culture. You were part of the environment that knew and understood how that business operated. Now, you said you started with a small IT staff, but obviously you've grown significantly. Along the way, has there been a lot of trials and errors and lessons learned, and what have you done to build the skills of your IT staff?
Yeah, you know, I would say that we didn't do things very well as we were growing in the first part of the 2000s. And what I mean by that is we really didn't have any methodology for project management, and we didn't operate well as a team. We were very siloed, and I was a big part of that problem. You were kind of trying to survive. The skills that we have built within the organization over the past, I'd say, 5 years have been how to work as teams. We began in our development groups, and we incubated agile software development in one of the groups, and we've spread that to all the groups. And we now have this reproducible pattern. It doesn't always work, but for the most part, a reproducible pattern on how we engage with the business, how we understand what we need to do, most importantly, how we commit that we're going to get it done, and then finally show them that we delivered on that commitment. And that learning that pattern, that was the biggest skill. I already had great developers, I had great network engineers, but learning the skill of estimating and committing and living up to our commitments, that was the skill that we really had to develop.
Talk a little bit about the atmosphere of the staff in terms of the IT group. I mean, is it more corporate? Is it more .com-ish? I mean, we hear so many stories about. We had a great conversation the other day with the people at Mannheim, and he's noted for his Hawaiian shirts. We actually joked about Mai Tais at 5, kind of a thing. Is it a nose to the grindstone, or is it an open innovation environment? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's interesting. It's a lot of those various pieces. We are, as a company, we are a very competitive company. You'll see a lot of sports themes in our organization, and that sees itself into technology where you won't always have highly competitive people athletically, but we do. We have a really good sense of humor within the organization. I really enjoy everybody that I work with. Now, we do have more corporate, more classical corporate folks, but and then we have people that are slide pizza on the door type developers, but we have a really good group that kind of relies on all the strengths that the different personalities bring, and it seems to work out. I wouldn't say it's like a monoculture in any way, just a wide variety.
Now, we talked a little bit about it. You touched on with the idea that the business continues to expand. What do you do? What steps have you taken to get ahead of the business, and how do you implement visionary or innovative new technologies?
I will say we have a very innovative group of business leaders. We've got, you look at our CIO, he's been thinking 10 years ahead for the past 30 years. So I don't have any lack of forward thinking, just even on the business side. But we have to do certain things to prepare IT so that we're able to execute on those things. And we really are trying to make good strategic investments in both people as well as in products. So if we're looking at what we're going to do with storage, for example, we're going to look at what we really need, not to be at 1,945 stores like we are now, but what do we need to be at 2,000, 3,000 stores, maybe 4,000 stores, and make sure that what we put in place will work. And same thing with people. Looking at people and saying, do we have the right people in place so that when we need to open up a team for analytics or for associate resources, we're ready to execute on that, and we have somebody in the succession plan.
As you were talking, I was thinking to myself, if I were thinking innovative e-commerce, do you actually think in terms of some kind of point of sale or an ability to virtualize an environment and order it online and have it delivered? Maybe you're already doing that, but I guess my question is next steps. What's coming up? How will technology play a role in innovation in the future?
Yeah, we definitely are already doing that. In fact, I'm fortunate to have a sales organization within IT that conducts that effort, where we drive e-commerce into our stores, and we were very, very successful last year. The guy that runs that, he kicked butt. And we'll see more of that this year. We're actually going to up the game in there and put a little more resources behind it. And really, it's focused on customer acquisition and growth of the company. I think the other great place where we could get a benefit is through analytics. We're in the process of replacing our legacy store software, and at the end of that, we'll be poised with a better data structure and better, more timely information than we've ever had to really analyze. And I think that we can find ways to improve our efficiencies in our stores and just do a better job with the customer experience.
If you really like that large screen television set, you're going to love our recliner?
Yeah, it's partly that, and it's partly predicting. One thing we love to do is we love to have a great customer experience. We want a customer for life, and our founder, he's still actively involved at 84. He's always said, as long as you're growing customers, your company's going to continue to grow. And we love to grow and retain customers. And so if we could just find a way to make sure that our customers stay with us, that they find us as a great value and a market leader, it's not even as much of what's next for them, but just how are we treating them, how are we servicing them, and are we doing a good thing for them?
You know, there's a lot of conversation about skill as a brand. You know, your individual is going to become, instead of looking for a job, you're really going to be looking for work, and that the housing market is kind of changing so much to the point where maybe it isn't about ownership, it's about renting. Do you guys actually look at a time when the idea of owning furniture is kind of an obsolete idea, period, and it isn't just about, you know, maybe newlyweds or startup companies, or it's really about, gee, I don't like the color red in my walls anymore, I want to change my entire living room from contemporary to classic or something? I mean, where it actually becomes a trendy thing to do?
Yeah, you know, we're actually okay if it goes either direction. You know, if furniture and electronics and other home goods become a utility that you can change out, we're okay with that. Our model works with that really well because our customers don't have any obligation, and they can be a little more nimble as customers, and we give that agility. However, we love when our customers obtain ownership. That's a good thing for them and a good thing for us. And so in either model, we're very happy as long as we're doing a good job with servicing the customer.
Well, certainly when one thinks of Aaron's and knows anything about the history of Atlanta, they can almost combine the history of your company with the history of Atlanta. One of the things that's happening now with Atlanta, obviously, and has been for a couple of decades, has become a leader where Georgia leads in a lot of technology verticals, healthcare, IT, fintech, and that kind of thing. Obviously, once again, I think Aaron's leads the way in technology. You're a premier member of TAG. We certainly appreciate the support, and hopefully that you find the relationship with TAG worthwhile. Maybe go into a little bit just for a moment. We're quickly running out of time. Talk a little bit about the relationship you have with the technology community in general and TAG specifically.
Yeah, you know, I obviously want to give back, but I see that we get so much more from the technology community than we could ever try to give back. I encourage everybody. One of our values in our organization is that everybody's self-improving, and I encourage everybody to make use of all of the societies offered by TAG and just network with people. You know, sometimes you think, well, there's a risk if my folks are out there networking, they'll get picked off. But the way I look at it is, if they are continually improving, that can only help our organization, and maybe we're the ones that can enrich our team from it. We can learn more from, you know, the different vendors that are presenting things, and there's a lot of information out there, and if you don't go out there and get it, you're going to get stagnated, and that doesn't help in the world of technology.
Well, a lot of great information. I think some keen insight for a lot of people who really weren't aware as much of Aaron's IT-enabled capabilities, rather. But on top of that, John, the kind words about the technology industry, and I think your sort of aggressive but innovative way of looking at the relationship with the community. Hats off to you on a number of different levels. One thing for sure, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today on Tech Talk.
Sure, it's been my pleasure.